We're gonna start off with combing the hair. Always comb the hair down just to see what you're working with. He doesn't want to cut the top, so we're not cutting the top. We're gonna blend it up, but obviously he still wants it to look like a taper. So the mistake that I see a lot of people do is when people come in and just ask for the sides, right? They keep this, or they just ask for the sides done, keep the top. They keep this long when they want it to look like they got a haircut. They don't want it to look like they didn't get a haircut. So imagine if he comes and I just start, I just do his side and I taper the side up really, really low like this, and just give him like a nice little quick taper. Obviously that's a half-ass taper, just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Line this up, give him a line up, and then I line this up. I don't cut anything from the back. He's not gonna go home happy, right? You should always aim to make to let the customer know you're doing your best to give him the haircut that he wants. So I know from cutting his hair and from the consultation that he wants a taper that's kind of like medium, not really low, not really high. He doesn't want me to start the ball line here, because then if I start the ball line here, I'm gonna do my half line here, and then his C-cup is gonna be dark. He wants it to look like he actually got a haircut. So because of that, I'm actually gonna go up. And when I first started cutting hair, I was very scared to cut this type of hair. It's the same thing as cutting straight hair. It's the same thing as cutting any other type of hair. Don't think twice about it. It's the same exact steps. Don't tell yourself I can't do it or I'm scared to do it. You shouldn't be. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna ball them up at a slanted, kind of towards the bottom of the lineup, and the top of the ear. And when I mean the top of the ear, I don't mean this top of the ear, I mean this top of the ear right here. And then I'm gonna open my lever up and I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom of the lineup, all the way up there. And I usually do a 2-guard lever open on this, but just for the purpose of the video and purpose of beginners and everything, I'm gonna do a 3-guard, and I will show you guys exactly why. So I'm gonna make sure I'm combing, just to make sure everything's good. Combing, okay, cool. With my 3-guard, I'm gonna close the lever down because his hair's already really dark. If I open it up, it's not gonna cut that much, right? So I'm gonna close it down, and that's gonna be the darkest I'm gonna go. Right here, I know he has a little bump. When I was combing his hair and from, cutting his hair before, I know he has a really indent, which a lot of people have this indent right here. So I'm not gonna dig in here because then it's gonna jeopardize the shape of the haircut. And like I always say in all my videos, you want the haircut to kind of look like an upside down triangle. So I'm not gonna dig in too much here. It might look a little bulkier here than here because of that indent. We're leaving more hair here, but it's completely fine. We're gonna come back, clipper over comb it, or scissor or shear over comb it. Shouldn't be a big deal. So there's a 3-guard, and as you can tell, it's cutting very, very little. I'm trying to keep that same shape I always talk about, the upside down hair, the upside down triangle. I'm not trying to dig in, right? If I do this, I'm gonna mess up the haircut. You don't want, right? When I first started cutting hair, I thought, oh my bad, every hair needed to be the same length for it to look good. And that is not right. You don't need all the hairs to look good. You don't need all the hairs to be even for them to look good. So I would always go like this to make sure all the hairs were even with the guard that I had on, but that's not the right way to cut hair. The right way to cut hair is nice, smooth strokes, and that'll do the job. Put down a little bit. So right here, I'm just making sure I keep the same shape. I'm not digging in. I can already feel his bump here, but I'm not digging in. And now I'm gonna go downwards a little bit just to get some of this bulk. And I'm doing it very lightly on his head. Kind of like almost like if I'm freehanding it, but I have a guard to guide me. Just to make sure I have the same. And then if that's not cutting, I'm gonna put up more pressure on his head, and now you see more hairs flying. All right, simple as that. Now, just to clean the canvas up, or to make sure this can blend in smoother to this. A lot of people will see this and start to get scared, like, dude, how do I blend that? Because the hair was going up like this, right? Because I was going like this. So as I was doing that, hair was going down. The trick is to always comb the hair or brush the hair down. That's the trick, right? I didn't know that before, but as I, started getting more haircuts under my belt, You learn from trial and error. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as you learn from those mistakes, you don't repeat them, it's 100% fine. So here, I'm doing the same thing I just did with the 3 guard, but I'm doing it with the 2 guard lever open. It's the same exact thing, nice smooth strokes. I'm gonna comb the hair, just like that, and I'm gonna give it another pass. And you see the hair's falling? The teeth of my clipper always facing up, never digging in like this. This is digging in. I'm like this. And now, I'm gonna comb this part up down a little bit. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go down with the guard, like this. Just because it looks really bulky right there. I'm just gonna go like that. And now we have our base and the top. So when you see this haircut, I want you to think, okay, we have 0.5 here and we have 2.5 here. You wanna break the haircut into sections. So we have 0 here, half here. So 0 here, half here. Our 1 should be like around here. Our 1.5 should be like around here. And then our 2.5 is here. So now that means in our mind, or in my mind, I broke this haircut down like that so it can blend in evenly. I don't want my 1.5 here and my 1 here and then my half here because my 0's here. Does that make sense? You want it proportionate. You want it nice and even. Like 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. So now with the 1.5, we're gonna go here. And you see how it looks all crazy, it looks all weird? I'm gonna come down and comb the hair and repass everything again. So go here, nice and smooth strokes, just like that. And I'm going sideways because his hair naturally when I go up, it wants to go to the left. So guess what? I'm gonna go against the grain just to make sure that everything's going in smoothly, everything's being cut properly. So I see his hair naturally wants to come here, so I'm gonna comb it that way. If I keep combing his hair downwards like this, and I keep going up with the clipper, his hair's naturally gonna come this way, because that's how it naturally wants to go. So I'm gonna comb his hair just like that, and I'm gonna go against it. Use the corner of my clipper, nice and smooth. Just to make sure everything's being cut properly, everything's blending in properly. And guess what? Like I always say, I'm not gonna neglect this side, right here behind the ear, and I'm not gonna neglect this right here, because this also needs to be cut. Now with the 1.5 guard, with the 1 guard lever open, we're gonna go right underneath that. No, you can go ahead, it's all good. And it's the same thing. As I'm going up with my clipper, guess what? His hair naturally is telling me, hey, I want to go over here. And look at this, his hair is going this way. I just want to keep making sure I'm combing it back down, right? And when I go up with it, it's gonna go back where it wants to go. So I'm gonna let it do its thing. I'm gonna let it go where it wants to go. And now I'm gonna go meet it and I'm gonna go. When you see these haircuts, you'll see some people that go upside down like this and go like this. And that's because the hair's usually it's growing upwards or it's going upwards. So you wanna go downwards with it. And if it's going down, then you wanna go up with it. So right here, it's going naturally to the side. So I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna comb it again or brush it again. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna comb it, everything's looking good. I wanna make sure that I'm not neglecting this area right here. Looks good. Now, the half guard is where the magic is gonna happen. The half guard is gonna make this blend into that. So I'm gonna go I'm not brushing the hair down. I'm gonna go very lightly on that line. I understand that the hair naturally wants to come this way, so instead of going like this, I'm going like this a little bit, and I'm only using the corner. And I'm not going too high up, because when using your corner, it's very easy to mess up the blend and go too high up. And I'm going very, very smooth. I'm not applying too much pressure. I'm just going nice and smooth. And guess what? If this guard doesn't take that line up, it's not the end of the world. That's why we have this lever. That's why these clippers have levers. So, okay, I'm gonna go. That's how his hair naturally wants to go. And now, I'm gonna come down with it, comb his hair, or brush his hair. And now you can see that line again. So guess what? Now I'm just gonna close the lever down halfway, and I'm gonna go over the same line. Now I'm going this direction. I'm going this direction. And that's what makes this hair type difficult, because you have to keep brushing the hair. Keep brushing, keep brushing. Now, I'm gonna make sure this area looks a little too dark, so I'm gonna go right at it. See if that works. Brush it down. And I'm gonna open it up a little bit, and I'm gonna go a little bit higher. This guard is the magic guard. This guard makes the whole fade pop. You see how I'm going a little bit higher? It's just to make sure that everything's blending in smoothly. Okay, now I'm gonna close the lever all the way up, and I still see a little bit of a line, so I'm just gonna go right at it. I'm gonna flick out. Barely any pressure on the head. I'm being very, very light with it. I'm not forcing the line to get out. If it doesn't want to get out, it's no big deal. I'll take the guard off and go in there with my no guard lever open. You don't want to force any lines out. When you force lines out, that's when you start digging in. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna be too lazy. Instead of taking this guard off and trying with no guard lever open like this with my corners, I'm gonna try to force that line out with my guard on, and I'm gonna dig in there, and I'm gonna go really hard on the skin just to get that line out. When it's not that big of a deal, like if it's not getting out, you take your guard off, just get it with your corner. Make sure you're not going too high up. Now I'm gonna close the lever halfway, because we never took out that zero line. It doesn't look like he has a zero line, but it's there. So I'm gonna go here. Not neglecting this part of the lineup. And now the only thing that I'm seeing right here is that it gets too dark too quick here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my 1.5 guard lever open, and I'm just worrying about that spot right now. And after that, we're done with the taper. I could hear the hair cutting. I'm literally hearing the hair cutting right now. Once I hear the haircut, I'm getting out. Taper looks nice, it looks clean. Now I'm seeing this line is still very, very faint, so I'm gonna get my half guard lever open. Half open all the way, and I'm gonna go at it. I'm gonna brush, go at it a little bit more. Gonna brush, halfway open. And I'm not putting any pressure on it. Do you feel the blade on your head? It's very kind of, don't dig in. Stop digging in. If it's not cutting with the lever open, keep the same amount of pressure and just close the lever down and put the same amount of pressure on. And if that's not cutting, close it all the way down. And if that's not cutting, take the guard off and open the lever up. Don't ever think to yourself, oh my God, this is not cutting, that means I have to dig in. That's how you mess up the haircut.